we're going to cover the required kicking techniques for your orange belt. The first kick that we're going to start with is an advanced shin kick. From our defensive stance, once again, and again thinking about our footwork in the yellow belt syllabus, we are going to slide forward. So pushing off the rear foot, moving the front foot. Also from our yellow belt kicking techniques, we had our shin kick. So essentially bringing this leg through. We're going to put those two movements together. And the idea is that I am bridging the gap between myself and my opponent, bringing myself a little bit closer. Maybe they are just outside of our kicking range or of our distance to be able to strike. So having my hands up, I'm going to step in, shin kick, slide back. Now as I do that, I want you to think about keeping your hands up this way. This technique could also be done maybe if they are delivering a punch or a slap. I'm stepping in, I'm blocking, and delivering my kick at the same time. So advanced shin kick, I slide, kick, and move back. Slide, kick, and move back. I also want you to be able to practice it with a block. So hands up and blocking this way. Hands up and blocking this way. Now again, what is important about a shin kick is making sure that we're driving with the leg, tensing up the thigh muscle, making sure the foot is turned, and that we're kicking with the instep. Here. And then back. Advanced shin kick. Raking shin kick. From our defensive stance, we're going to bring our knee up, and identical to our other shin kick, using the side of the foot. But this time what I want you to think about is we are scraping down the front of the shin. So from this position, knee comes up and I scrape down the front of the leg. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. We would most likely apply this technique from in close. So somebody has us in a bear hug, maybe somebody has us in nice and tight. I drive my foot into their shin, find that leg, and scrape straight down. We could also use it a little bit as a stamping kick, so coming up and then through this way, but making sure that we are contacting that leg, using the side of the foot, and scraping down the front of the leg. So that would be our raking shin kick. Roundhouse kick, sliding forward, kicking with the front leg. From our defensive stance, the first part that I want you to think about is your footwork. I'm going to take my rear leg and I'm going to slide it up to contact my front leg, essentially forming an L or a V with my feet. So from this position here, I slide forward, and then my front knee is going to come up and parallel to the ground. Here. 1, 2. I'm going to extend my leg out, bring it back to that position, and slide back to my defensive stance. The idea is that we're facing our partner, we're not sideways in a horse stance, making sure that you have a good defensive stance, feet are nice and wide. Same thing, hands are up. We slide, knee, extend, and back. Slide up, knee, extend, and back. Now one of the ways that you can practice this is driving here, 1, 2, and back. 1, 2, and back. The higher your knee is going to go, the higher your kick is going to be. So one more time, slide, knee, extend, and back. Roundhouse kick, sliding forward, kicking with your front leg. Roundhouse kick with the rear leg. From our defensive stance, the first thing again we need to discuss is our footwork. Now we are going to need to pivot on our front leg. So for beginners, we can do is move the toes to the side. That's going to open your hips up, bring the knee, and then extend your kick. So we would move and through. The other way of doing this is bringing the knee up, but before it extends out, I pivot on my bottom foot, meaning that I come up on the ball of the foot and I turn my heel towards my target. So coming here. And then once I'm turned, I would extend my foot out to my roundhouse kick. So rear and through. Now once again, the higher your knee, the higher your foot is going to go. Now what I'm going to do is give you a little tip on practicing and getting the circular motion so that we're not doing a roundhouse kick with bringing our knee up this way. We want to make sure that it is coming around in a circle. So one of the things that we can do is practice with a chair, or this could be, any kind of obstacle that we put in front of us, right? So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my knee comes up and over my obstacle here. And then at the end, kick and back. Kick and back. And on your retraction is trying to work your balance as well. So that as I kick, I pull my knee back without touching the chair or whatever it is that you are kicking over. This can also be done for kicking with our front leg. So a roundhouse kick with the rear leg. Roundhouse kick low, side of the leg. So this kick we are basically is taking away the snap, but making sure that our leg is going to stay in a secure position and impacting the side of the leg. Our target is the lateral femoral or the common peroneal nerve. The easiest way I have found to find where I want to be kicking to is put your hands down by the side of your legs, turn your fingers in this way, jab the side of your leg, and this area right here is where I want to be impacting. If you were wearing pants that had a seam, basically right along the seam of the pants. My target area is about a 6-inch radius. So we don't need to be pinpoint accurate, but we need to be within that area. Now, if I was doing a regular roundhouse kick, I am bringing the knee back and I am snapping my leg out. This time I want you to think that your leg is in a brace, your knee is in a brace, so it's not going to really move from this position. I'm still going to pivot on my front foot and drive my leg forward this way. The other part that I want you to think about is your foot position. You're going to point the toes of that foot, essentially creating a V or a blade in your shin. If your toes are curled back, you're going to have a rounded shin. I want you to point your toes so that your shin is going to be bladed. So from this position, I turn the foot, I turn the hips, I keep that knee intact, and I drive forward. The other part about this is going to be the impact of the kick. You're going to leave it on the target for 3/4 of a second. So don't kick and pull it off right away. I want you to use time on target. So 3/4 of a second. Essentially, I am delivering a transfer of energy from my strike into that common peroneal or lateral femoral nerve that runs down the side of the leg. And my goal is to try and create a temporary dysfunction of that leg. Now, from experience, this kick works if someone is not of an overly agitated state. If they're just standing there and maybe you're having that discussion or you're having the argument and you drive that kick in, you might drop them. If they are in that fighting stance, and I mean, we see this in Muay Thai, in kickboxing, in MMA, where that leg kick is delivered, and it needs to be delivered repeatedly in order for that leg to stop functioning. So a lot of times it's going to be based on how much adrenaline that person has flowing through their body. So like I said, I've experienced it from just standing there being kicked and being dropped. And as well, I've experienced it from delivering knee strike or that kick in a policing context where I've been trying to arrest somebody who's been very highly agitated and it's done nothing. Until probably half an hour later, where now there is no adrenaline dump anymore, the person is pretty much relaxed and they're almost unable to walk. So don't think this kick is going to drop somebody right away. Sort of keep that in the back of your mind. So once again, to finish off, we pivot that bottom foot, leg comes up, keep that knee intact, blade the foot, point the toes down, blade the knee into that target, and again, holding it for 3/4 of a second to leave the transfer of energy from your kick into that nerve. Knee strikes. So this time we're going to talk about being in close. We have 3 ranges that we talk about. We talk about long range, which would be kicking at extension. Mid-range, we looked at our roundhouse kick, our low roundhouse kick with the shin. I need to be a little bit closer because I'm impacting, same thing, up on the middle part of the leg. This time we are in close. So we're going to talk about knee strikes. So for this one, we are going to be basically in a clinch position. So this could be with the hands this way. It could be cupping the back of the head. Now with Bob, it's a little bit more difficult to demonstrate, but what I want you to think about is being able to have your opponent's head right on your chest. If I'm holding him this way, I don't want them to be able to drive forward with their legs and headbutt you. The other part that I want you to think about in this clinch position is closing your forearms together. So essentially, I'm bringing their head into my chest, closing the forearms together, which by closing the forearms together does a couple of things. It applies a little bit of pressure to the carotid arteries to the side of the neck. The other part is prevents them from ducking down and pulling their head outside of your clinch. So those 2 things to remember, and we'll talk about that on our front head manipulation takedown as well. So again, from this position, and my feet are out. Now when we're going to deliver our knee strike, I don't want you to bring your knee up this way. I want you to think of driving your hip and driving your knee forward, much like the first part of our front kick. So if you recall, on our front kick, we're driving this way, knee and foot. Your knee strike is going to be minus the foot extension. So we're here, knee and back, knee and back. Important that this leg comes up and back to where it was if we're only kicking with the one leg. Do not knee and bring this foot down. What happens if we strike this person in the solar plex or the body or the groin, they collapse and I bring my feet together, I'm within their grip. So I want you to knee and back, knee and back. That is kicking with or delivering knee strikes with the one knee. This time we're going to do both knees. So we're going to deliver that knee strike, foot comes down and I pull the other one back. Deliver the knee strike, foot down, pull the other one back. Knee strike, foot down, pull the other one back. So 2 ways of doing the knee strikes, with one knee or alternating knees. Now the other part that I want you to think about is verbalization. And that's one of the pieces that we don't do a lot of during our hold escapes, which we actually should do a lot more of. So when we are verbalizing, we're trying to do two things. We are delivering a message to our opponent, and we are trying to create witnesses of other people that might be around. So when you are practicing your knee strikes, I want you to practice your verbalization. And our words are going to be this. You're going to think about 4 knee strikes, which means 4 words. Let me go now. If we do alternating legs, let me go now. So I want you to add that into your knee strikes. And anywhere in your techniques where you think it would be appropriate to be able to either create witnesses or deliver that message. So once again, the last 2 parts on the clinch, forehead into your chest, squeeze your forearms together, cinching them around the neck, making sure that they're not able to bob and weave out of your clinch.